meaning that from roughly 1.5 million TEU to 2 million TEU. The number of our employees also grows massively. In the last 2 years, we have employed 220 people. With the support of the Terminal Link, our shareholders, the long-planned development plan of the terminal has been established, and it will further strengthen the position and the performance of a terminal in the region. Professor Gordon Shirley and the entire PAJ team, thank you very much, especially for our partnerships in the last 2 years. We really appreciate working with you. The government intention to increase Jamaica's special economic zone are supported by our plans to grow. We work together towards a common goal, and it's a prime example of the perfect cooperation between the public and the private investors. The last year proven to be difficult, and we still face some setback. But thanks to our hard work and persistent, and especially thanks to excellent and hard-working our staff, we are still growing. Let me take this opportunity to thank our KFTL crew, which is here. It's their hard work allowing us to still progressing. KFTL will continue to grow and will continue to support the Jamaican economy, and also will become one of the most important terminals in the region. Thank you very much.
This is why I kept on my hard hat. No, I don't like when the applause is stingy, you know. I don't know if you heard when the CEO said that Kingston Freeport employed 220 people, and everyone just looked at him. And I just thought that that is something that we should be celebrating. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because maybe in this past year, I've had the opportunity of hosting events where the Prime Minister has been the keynote. We've had the Honorable Auburn Hill as the keynote. Honorable Dr. Nigel was also the keynote. And a common theme when all of them speak is not just about boosting our economy and developing our country, but creating jobs. And not just creating jobs based on numbers, but jobs that actually improve the quality of our citizens' life. So whenever you come into a space and you hear an employer saying, we employed people and a substantial amount, I think that's when we say, big up, job well done. We're on the right path. So Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited just wants to ask a couple of questions. I don't have any gifts to give away. This is just like school's challenge quiz though. Does anyone here, and of course you're not eligible if you work for KFTL, how high is a straddle carrier? Anybody? How high? They're right beside us. How high? Just take a wild guess. I have a student in the back stand. How high do you think a straddle carrier is? 160 feet. By the way, give him a round of applause. He was the first hand up, confident as ever. 160 sounds very high. Do we have any other takers? How high do you think the straddle carrier is? It is 41 feet and 66 inches. So you were off by just a smidgen. But thank you so very much for participating. So we understand the importance. We also want to hear from special partners who help to make all of this work. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, kindly put your hands together as we welcome Professor the Honorable Gordon Shirley, President and CEO, Port Authority of Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Madam Master of Ceremonies. And since I'm only given 3 minutes, all protocols have been observed, the Most Honorable Prime Minister, but there are a few partners that I must pause to acknowledge. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the working relationship that we have with the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce under the leadership of Albin Hill. I must also recognize the Commissioner of Customs, who is a major partner with us in the activities here in the maritime sector. There is Mr. Barrington Dawes, who represents the 1,200 employees here, the 220 who have been employed and the 900 who have continued. We have the representatives, we have Laurent Martins, who was critical to the original finalization of the concession agreement, and Mr. Martin Masson, who is now responsible, along with Mrs. Cabot, for all the assets in CMA CGM, including this port. And finally, we have a number of agents, which I can't single out, for all of our major partner lines, the lines that operate out of here. Just wanted to single out those persons for special mention. Prime Minister, as you are aware, there's been a hiatus in the visits from CMA CGM resulting from the pandemic. So we are delighted to have Mrs. Cabot, our Senior Vice President from CMA CGM, back in the island to discuss not just what is happening now, but the future. In 2016, Prime Minister, we entered into the public-private arrangement to make the port of Kingston unmistakably the most competitive port in the region. There are a number of things that were earmarked for KFTL to do. There are some things that were earmarked for PAJ to do in order to realize that. Since I only have 2 minutes and 45 seconds left, I wanted to use the rest of the time to provide a report to an update to our stakeholders. And I see in our audience as well Anthony Hilton, who is the MP for the area, but much more than that, he was also quite instrumental in the establishment of a vision for this becoming a major hub. The capital investment program that we embarked on in 2026 had to be undertaken by CMA CGM. Anybody thinking back to 2016, the government had established a macroeconomic and fiscal program which would have prohibited the government from providing the necessary support in the form of guarantee for loans that would be required for the PAJ to invest. And we had to do this because of the Panama Canal. And the targets were to deepen the inner channel to a depth of 15.6, to reinforce and refurbish 1,200 meters of quay wall, to install a modern terminal operating system, and to optimize the capacity to double the capacity. The results have been that we have had 178 million spent on the infrastructure, meaning the dredging, the pavement, the workshop extension, all of that has been spent. 54 million has been spent on equipment, aside from the 19 straddle carriers you see here. Another 10, so 29 straddle carriers have been acquired, along with 2 gantry cranes, 19 terminal tractors, 6 empty container handlers, 6 road heads, and 14 forklifts. And another 16 million has been spent on new information systems, primarily a new terminal operating system, one of the most modern in the world, as well as security systems, CCTV systems. The CEO has already told you that the volume has gone from just over 1 million TEUs to close to 1.8 million TEUs. Most of this occurring in the last 2 years. The maintenance, just to run a terminal like this, the maintenance activities are very critical. And the preventive maintenance compliance fell during the early period, but has moved up to 72%. 70% is not where we want to be, but it's a lot better than the 40% that we inherited. And we want to move all the way in the 90s. The jobs, you've already heard that the employment has grown by 33.33%. And I would say, since this is an update, the labor situation is stable. We have a good working relationship between the union and the terminal head. And you've also heard that the terminal has moved up in the top 100 ranking globally. And the question was asked by me of the Prime Minister, when are we going to be the top terminal in the Caribbean? And I told him, soon, 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 sir. We will soon get there. On the side of the PAJ, the port community system has been installed and is fully functional. The investments, and we have won several awards for that. The investments in security, which are funded through the Port Authority. We would say that this terminal is proud, at this point, has the best security system in the region, but we have still a long way to go to improve on that. We have weathered the storm with the congestion that has occurred most recently. And so, Prime Minister and other stakeholders, the teamwork between the terminal, the Port Authority, and all of the other stakeholders in the community have improved and will be important for the future. The public-private partnership has delivered the results that were consistent with the plan. And now, having achieved those plans, we have to establish new plans, because we are still a long way from being where we want to be as a terminal. We look forward to that working relationship with with our CEO and with Carlos, the COO, and the other members of the team. And the results suggest that if we maintain the trajectory that we are on, the targets which we have established for the sport will be established well within a reasonable time frame. And we can define that how we will, but certainly within the next 5 years, we'll see a lot happening at this terminal. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Prof. Thank you for the overview and for providing us with even more context. Now, Prof said soon, soon. I saw my Prime Minister scribbling, and I just want to take the opportunity to remind the good professor that the reward for good work is more work. But I thought my biggest takeaway listening to his delivery is just that it takes investment, it takes cash, it takes capital to grow, to develop, to expand, to create, to build. And he certainly spoke about the power of partnership and collaboration. I mean, I know Walker is here, the customs boss, representing just one of many agencies that help to keep this ecosystem alive and going. How wide is a straddle carrier? So we established that it is 41 feet high, 66 inches, right? 41 feet, 66 inches. How wide is it if you look across there? Anybody wants to take a guess? I have another student in the back. Say it louder. 15 feet. The width is 16 feet, 20 inches. Fantastic job, young man. 16 feet, 20 inches. And in fact, just something that I thought was worth mentioning. When I came and I met some of the personnel earlier, and I asked them about, the operators, I asked them, do you have any females who operate? And they said, absolutely. And I'm going to go on record for repeating what the gentleman said. He said that, in fact, the female operators are even sometimes regarded as better. Come and fight me. But he said, because apart from just the technical ability, there's an addition to it. Apart from the technical ability, it is the managing, the maintenance, the taking care of the investment. So I thought that it was worth mentioning that we have not just male operators, but we also have female operators. And I think that also should deserve a round of applause to show diversity. Of course, when I asked how can one learn to drive one of these straddle carriers, they said I'd have to apply for the job, get the job, then get the training. Who is HR? Is HR here? Hi, Dusty. How are you? So, the celebration continues. We now invite Ms. Christine Cabot, Executive Vice President of Operations and Group Assets, CMA, CGM, and Chairman of KFTL, to bring her remarks. Please make her welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, Senator Honorable Obin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Professor the Honorable Gordon Shirley, President and CEO of the Port Authority of Jamaica, Mrs. Commissioners of Custom, good morning to you, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am extremely happy, very honored to be with you here today for this very important event with the inauguration of the new 19 straddle carriers to the port of Kingston. And I'm so happy to have traveled all the way from Marseille to be with you today. It's been a long time. COVID prevented us from traveling, but I'm very glad to meet again known faces and to be on this terminal. A lot has happened over the past 2 years in this terminal, thanks to the determination of the team, and I would like to pay a tribute, please, to all the office workers of KFTL, the dock workers, the port workers, because the past 2 years have been very difficult, very tense for logistics and supply chain. Thank you for making it happen. Thank you for keeping the terminal up and ready. Thank you. Okay. It has been 7 years since CMA CGM Terminal League struck an agreement with the government of Jamaica, granting us the opportunity to operate the Kingston Container Terminal through a 30-year concession. And we are very happy to have accomplished such a work that we need to invest again and again to keep up with the growth. These 19 straddle carriers are an important step, and I was discussing this morning with the Prime Minister and also the CEO of the Port of Jamaica, there's more to come. There's more to come for the development of this beautiful terminal because the growth is there, and there is the willingness to continue the good work and give a prominent place in the region to the Kingston as a for the Caribbean and for north-south trade flows between the Americas. We know that the container terminal of KFTL is a major actor, major player in the Jamaican economy. We are fully aware of the responsibility of the mission which is ours, and everybody working on this terminal is fully dedicated to make this happen. This investment here, which is worth more than $20 million, is definitely essential to KFTL plans to increase the terminal productivity in a safe, because safety is paramount, and reliable manner. It has already been said that 5 of them are hybrid units, so I'm not going to expand on that, but be aware that we are fully determined to continue on the roadmap towards decarbonization, and that more investment will come to make this possible. Our partnership with the Port of Jamaica, the Port Authority of Jamaica, and all the stakeholders, port stakeholders in this region has been excellent, very constructive. We have found support, we have found friendship, we have found a constructive relationship to achieve what we have achieved today, and again to continue to achieve even bigger goals. So we look forward to continuing to make Jamaica one of the most prominent hubs of the region. We are firmly set on the road for the future. We will continue to develop a long-term plan which will increase productivity, competitiveness, strengthen the regional position. We are definitely committed to the country on behalf of CMA CGM, on behalf of Terminal Link, on behalf of the full port community. We also anticipate to develop into logistics, because shipping and logistics go hand in hand, and ports constitute a major place where logistics and shipping can really grow and bring added value, bring prosperity to the region and to the port of Kingston. So thank you very much again for being here today. I'm very happy, so proud of these beautiful new straddle carriers, and so ambitious on the continuing of the writing this beautiful story together. Thank you very much.
Finders, keepers. Oh, I was just about to say finders, keepers. Thank you so very much, Ms. Cabot. You know, bienvenue et félicitations. There are three major takeaways when I listened to her her remarks a while ago. She spoke about the chain, the value chain. It's not just really about the operators or even the senior managers but every single person who has anything to do with the operation is a part of that value chain. Another C is constructive relationships, and having those relationships with partners, collaborators, internal persons is absolutely key when you want to build and construct. Commitment to country as well as the vision of said country. And lastly, competitiveness, again, positioning Jamaica as the hub for the region. Thank you so very much for that. Now, we have some very special guests in the audience, and it's one thing to have a good company that is profitable. It's another thing to have a company that believes in the environment, but there's also a social aspect. And Kingston Freeport Terminal is really big on taking care of communities that are a part of their area. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for students of Greenwich Town Primary School.
Good morning, everyone. All potential observed. I was born with everything I need to be me. And wings inside my mind to set me free. I know I've got vision more than my eyes can see, but I know I rule my destiny. So no matter how you try, you can never change my mind. I know if caterpillars can fly, so can I, so can I, yeah. I know if caterpillars can fly, so can I, yeah.
Watch I know. This a baby caterpillar, member say you can fly. Hey. Don't watch a mosquito and a sandfly. Don't sit down and complain, get up and try. Anywhere, the whole universe come fly. Aye. Work for your goals and build them. Take time and sharpen your skills them. And your dreams don't make no one kill them. Them soon see a wing.
Affirm yourselves. I am a beautiful person. I am what I see myself to be. Whatever the mind can conceive, I can achieve. I am healthy and happy. I am alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I am prosperous and successful.
I am getting better and better.
I am a winner. I am alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I am alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I am alive, alert, awake, alive. I am alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. Yeah. So no matter how you try, you can never change your mind. I know if caterpillars can fly, so can you, so can you. I know if caterpillars can fly, so can you. I know if caterpillars can fly, so can you, yeah. I know if caterpillars can fly, so can you.
I know we can do a much better job than that. I absolutely enjoy that we got song, we got a little bit of poetry, we got stir fry, we got a little bit of DJ. What I appreciated was the affirmations, the word of affirmations. It's so important for our children to believe that they can and to see themselves as winners. Certainly the gentleman who took out his little $100, $200, and him say, I am prosperous. And considering the Prime Minister always speaks about prosperity, I mean, it just makes sense. But again, we want to absolutely always support and celebrate companies that, again, have the social arm. And so to find out that Kingston Freeport Terminal also assists airport communities, it's just cherry on top, right? Can we kindly give them another round of applause? I just would like to officially welcome and to acknowledge the presence of His Worship, the Mayor, Senator Councillor Delroy Williams, Mayor of Kingston. Thank you so very much for joining us. So as we've been going along with the program, we've just been asking questions just to see how familiar you are with the straddle carriers. How many people does it take to operate the straddle carrier? What say you? One. And how much does a straddle carrier weigh? A woman goes, oh. How much does it weigh? Just a guess, just in tons. How much do you think? Just shout out any number. You won't get in trouble. Any takers? 400 tons. You were the gentleman who said 160 feet? I like how you see big. You see a big picture. I like it. 62 tons is what the straddle carrier actually weighs. I want to also just thank the students of Greenwich Town Primary School for participating, for not being afraid to let your voice be heard. Never you change. Any room you go into, if you have a question, ask it. And if you have an answer, give it, even if it may not necessarily be the correct one. So ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the end of the program in terms of the formalities and the speeches. And I've told you, I've had the privilege of hearing this particular keynote speaker, the dreams, the visions he has, but also the reports of the things that have been executed, the things that have been done, which tells us that we're not just about talking, but we're about doing. Ladies and gentlemen, I take great pleasure in inviting our keynote speaker for this morning. He's known affectionately as the builder for the right reasons, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Please make him welcome.
Thank you very much, Terry. Still, good morning, everyone. I want to give some context as to why I'm here at a ceremony which seems fairly routine to inaugurate straddle carriers as Prime Minister. First, let me say that this is a very important achievement that should not be diminished. It's a $20 million investment, which is significant. Whichever ministry, whichever minister is inaugurating it, this is a significant investment in Jamaica. Secondly, I happen to be the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation. So I'm not here primarily in my role as Prime Minister, but in my role as Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, under which the Port Authority falls. And the Port Authority, of course, is the lead partner in this public-private partnership with our private sector partner, CMA CGM. And the Port Authority owns the port. And CMA CGM is our faithful operator. Now, something was said earlier that since the start of this partnership, 200 new employees have been added to the staff operations here, approximately. Now, when you hear the statistic that unemployment is going down in Jamaica, sorry, that's not correct. Yes, unemployment is going down in Jamaica. Employment is going up. And there is this sense of things are not going right. Always there is this sense which forms the kind of base perception of the society, that even when things are going right, we miss it. I noticed the silence when the announcement was made. And thank you, Terry, for insisting on applause for it. Because the truth is, it is not all bad. And every single day in Jamaica, something good is happening. Every day. The statistic should not be questioned in terms of our unemployment rate going down, because your government took a decision that we are going to give a concession on the operations of the port. And I want to take a minute to explain that. The decision was made across administrations. The considerations happened across administrations. And I remember when the idea was first posited in the public domain, the response was, Lord, we're going to give away port. There was fear and trepidation in the public that somehow a public asset would be taken away from the benefit of the public to the exclusive benefit of the private sector. And I can understand that fear and suspicion, because our history has been that we have not always benefited in public-private partnerships. And governments are not always able to properly police joint ventures with the private sector. Indeed, there are several joint ventures with the private sector in which the public have not benefited. But I'm happy to say this is not one of them. Since we have given the concession, which is a 30-year concession, starting in 2016, the capacity of the port has approximately doubled. That is significant. The question, yes, I would. For the doubters, the retort would be then, couldn't the government have done that? Couldn't the Port Authority have made the investments in straddle carriers and done that? Maybe they could. I'm certain they could find $20 million on their balance sheet. But it is more than just straddle carriers. You see, we need to understand, and I'm now speaking to people who doubt the wisdom of public-private partnerships, is that the role of government is not to be operator of everything. The role of government is to empower private initiative. And when I say private initiative, immediately the thought goes to private sector. No. Private initiative resides in every citizen of the country. You can be empowered to become such a great innovator and operator of something that all you require from the government is a fair, transparent, regulatory environment. CMA, CGM has deep experience in shipping and logistics. Years of experience. More than we have in terms of our history and capacity. And so it was a good idea to partner with this experience. But I'm also reminded to say that CMA CGM has deep pockets as well. To be able to make these kinds of investment so that the Port Authority does not have to take these funds that are being spent on this, it could then take these funds and use them on something else, such as the development of new ports, such as making investments in a port in Port Royal, such as looking at the development of Portland. That is the role of the Port Authority, to go into those new development areas and de-risk them and leave these areas where there is enough knowledge and expertise in the commercial space to manage them and allow them to manage them. But of course, it's not for free. The public gets returns into the coffers of the country. And I can stay here and safely say that the concession agreement was well negotiated and Jamaica is benefiting from having that agreement. There are many other areas in Jamaica where the public-private partnership model should be pursued. As I've said, there is great reason why the public should be suspicious. Great reason because of our history of exploitation. Great reason because governments have not always been as, I'm going to choose my words carefully here, but they have not always been good stewards. They have not always managed and interrogated and acted always in the best interest. But what has this government done? And previous administrations? We have developed a public-private partnership policy. And it is a robust policy. And we continue to evaluate that policy and improve that policy so that when we get into PPPs, the public can have confidence that our public-private partnerships will be well managed and that the public's interests will be protected. And I want to hold this up as an example. Now, I'm saying all of this because the chairman of the PAJ and the general manager, the president of the PAJ, can't let me down. They have to make sure that the commitment that I'm giving holds true. But Christine has become my best friend here now. And she's not going to let me down either. So I know that the partnership is going to be a strong one that will be meaningful and long-lasting and beneficial to both parties. Because it is not just these straddle carriers that we are investing in. There is more to come. The straddle carriers will improve efficiency. A port is nothing but the ability to load and unload containers as quickly as possible. That's all a port is. And if you're not able to load and unload as quickly as possible, you could have the greatest expanse of land. In fact, you could have had 1,000 straddle carriers. People are not going to want to use your port. It's about efficiency. And this will help with efficiency. Further investment in technology will help with efficiency. And the availability of more space will help with efficiency. So we are discussing possibilities of expansion. So as Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, as part of this continuum of the creation of the logistics and shipping industry as an important plank of the Jamaican economy, the government is looking at ways in which we can expand shipping and logistics operations in our economy. In the same way that we have been instrumental in the expansion and institutionalization of the BPO industry in Jamaica. So the government, through the PAJ, is looking at other lands in this area that could become available to support the expansion of the port and the expansion of the logistics operations which are associated. And you will hear more about those plans certainly when I make my budget presentation in a few months' time next year. These are plans that are, some of them are in the early stages, but some of them are quite mature plans. So you will hear more about what we will do. As I look on at these straddle carriers, I see young men and women in their hard hats and in their high visibility vests. I suspect some of them are drivers and operators. These are the faces of the beneficiaries of the investment. These are the faces of the people who are being employed, who take home an income as a result of good government policy. A port job is a highly sought after job, even if you're just sweeping up the tarmac on the port. Highly sought after. And we need to create more of these jobs. So my purpose here is well served if you understand that I'm here speaking to you now as a minister supervising the expansion of the port and logistics industry in Jamaica, using the investment of $20 million in these straddle carriers, which will improve the efficiency of the port as a signal of the strengthening, the deepening, and the expansion of this new plank of the Jamaican economy. I see my neighbor and friend Tony Hilton here. He has been an evangelist and advocate for it as well. Of course, Tony dreamt it, I visioned it, and executed. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I appreciated that last part, especially when I came in this green dress, and I was like, okay, this is patriotic. My prime minister is going to be here. I'm going to take out this green. It's about the country and everything. And then I got the orange protective gear, and I said, well, it is for the best interest, regardless of, where you stand. But thank you so very much for that, PM. Thank you for always reminding us of the importance of the development of Jamaica. Thank you for reminding us that to every person who is a naysayer, who says that this will never work, that it can't work, that we have people who are working assiduously to ensure that it does. Thank you for reminding us of the power of the PPPs, the public-private partnerships policy, and for finally reminding us that efficiency, reliability, productivity, scale, safety, integrity, and credibility are a must. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could kindly give another round of applause for the fantastic Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited. And so now we are going to move into the ribbon cutting ceremony. I'm going to invite our Prime Minister, Ms. Christine Cabot, Professor the Honorable Gordon Shirley, Captain Majewski, Samuel Black, who is a straddle carrier operator, and Cherise Allen, electrical engineer, if they could kindly make their way to the back of the ribbon so that we can conduct the ribbon cutting ceremony. And of course, invite all of us to be a part of that celebration as well.
Acknowledging the acquisition of 19 new straddle carriers. Don't forget, the 19 are actually eco-efficient because we always want to ensure that we make a positive contribution to the environment. Don't run off, you can take your photos actually, but we also invite you for some light refreshment. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us here at the Kingston Freeport Limited.
can't get enough of it. St. Andrew South Beat in the house. And of course, we see where, wow, this looks like a powerhouse interview. Again, another one. I see a gentleman in there I don't. Nobody has. He's very gregarious. As I'm walking, you know, him just take over the space. Then you want to say Sergeant Bloomfield. And of course, Sergeant Lang, we were looking forward to it right about now. It's St. Anne. Get away, guys.
Thank you so much, Isis. A very pleasant morning to our viewers and listeners on Roots 96.1 FM. This is the program St. Andrew South Beats. My name is Alex Bloomfield, and I'll be your host for this morning. My co-host is none other than the beautiful
Tanya Lane.
Tanya Lane.